So my world has been human spaceflight. And it has taught me a lot about how we perceive our world. And I'm going to try to connect to the last session because there is so much there in the high technical world I work in looking for solutions. What does it mean to be a human? And when you put that human in a very remote and austere environment, how are they going to survive? And not just survive, but thrive. We're asking them to do a job, actually a very complex job. And they are out on the leading edge of what humans can do. And it's been my job to figure out, in a big team of people, by the way, when you think about it, how do we enable that? What are the tools they need, the solutions they need? How do we predict this ahead of time? So I've learned a lot about ecosystems, systems biology. How do we balance things? Because it's not always about going back to the hammer. Coming in with a sledgehammer may solve the problem acutely, but the second and third order effects, can be drastically counterproductive. So how do we find ways to help the body solve its own problems? And this is behaviorally too. We spend quite a bit of time trying to understand the concept of psychologically enduring that kind of extreme, what is going to be, and to some extent in low Earth orbit with the International Space Station, has really strong elements of deprivation, and loneliness can be a part of that. So how do we combat it? I think the world at large learned a lot about what we've been studying during the pandemic, where everything that's done in spaceflight by definition is remote, with a very small team of people and essentially extreme isolation. It has a lot in common with the Antarctic work or the Arctic work, where people are up in stations and very isolated and really have no inputs. That's the other part. It's not just about hearing and seeing things. It's you don't smell the grass. You don't understand, what an orange smells like for a lot until we send something to you. And sometimes that supply chain breaks down. So there's a lot of elements that go on that we see happen in real life in micro ways. And we kind of bring it all together and sharpen the edge on what these people are going to experience. So that's what I've been doing for a living for about 20 years, but it has a lot of overlap with special operations communities, with people who do remote, austere medicine, disaster medicine. At Baylor, we have a global health initiative that we connect to regularly to find out what those people need when they go out into the field to do their jobs, and serve the people of the countries and in the areas that they go into, who are usually under conditions of extreme deprivation of one or more kind, and could even be under conditions of extreme violence. So we try to make sure our tools serve those purposes and procedures and the concepts. So, but it even talks about the health of the service provider. How do they stay well enough and resilient enough to do their jobs? So multiple levels going on simultaneously. On the technical side, we run these huge Gantt charts and roadmaps to try to track things. But when it comes down to it, when we put it into practice, when we apply these tools and solutions, does it really work? Do humans engage in these things? And I think, Jeff, to your most recent comment, is people need options. There's no one size fits all when it comes to these solutions and how people are going to react to these environments. And we have to be prepared to try to give an assortment of tools.